All right. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. And also, we're blessed to have DJ Genesis. She's the one, the mastermind behind the show. And we're also here with Calvin Johnson, a criminal defense attorney, big, huge criminal defense attorney. Calvin, tell the people who you are and where they can find you.
Well, I'm attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I practice law in the city of Dallas, Texas, or in the state of Texas. But I have been a practicing criminal defense attorney for the last 25 years. I used to work with Chris Bosh, the Chris Bosh Foundation. I've done a lot of stuff in entertainment, as well as mainly criminal defense at the state, local, and federal levels. And so that's kind of what I do. One more thing I didn't plug that I've been plugging myself on, but I want to make sure that my director, A.L. Smith, gets a plug on here. I'm in a movie that's on Amazon Prime called He Never Came Home. And if you want to go to Amazon Prime, it's about a mentally disabled young man who was tricked into confessing to a murder in the 1960s Louisiana. So I was a consultant on this case. He was wrongly convicted, wrongly charged, and wrongly convicted, or actually wrongly charged, wrongly accused, because that's a whole nother story without talking about the whole movie. But it's called He Never Came Home. It was released on Amazon Prime about 3 weeks ago. Come check us out. A.L. Smith, Calvin Johnson, He Never Came Home. But that's kind of what I do. I do criminal defense. I do criminal defense, and I want to make sure that I provide as much insight to the people. Mel, of course, is going in there every day. DJ Genesis has hooked us up, and we're the dream team on the Diddy trial. So let's go.
All right. Tomorrow, the prosecutors are looking to rest their case. They have the final witness on the stand. What does that mean?
Well, basically, what they do, they're going to close their case out. Typically, they finish with a witness who can tie everything together. And what they want to do is make sure that they leave a lasting impression on what they are charging Mr. Diddy with. And they want to make sure that that last witness is kind of like a connect the dots kind of witness that can go back through all of the alleged criminal behavior that has happened. And the state wants to show, or the feds want to show, that they have met their burden, and they want to close the deal. They want to have a strong last witness. And typically they leave their strongest witnesses for last so that they can leave that lasting impression on the jury. So they're going to be closing the case. And I've been, talking to you, and I don't know if Puffy is going to call any witnesses. And if he doesn't, then the case will close, and then they will try to go into the jury instructions, and then closing arguments happen after that. So we'll see what happens, but that's what happens typically when the government closes their case. They put the last strong witness on, and usually that last witness ties all of the prior testimony together.
So they have this government agent that's basically breaking down how the chief of staff, her name was KK, also known as Christina Coram, how she was running the corporation, the business, Combs Enterprises, but also she was putting her tentacles, her hands into the freak-offs. What does this mean for this case?
What that means is that he has used somebody in his corporate business to run this criminal enterprise, which basically puts him in the mix of being in a RICO, because you're using this person. You're using the person that was in their personal capacity running your corporation to hide all of your dirty deeds on your criminal side. And that's what that's what this agent is going to testify to. And like I said, remember that last witness, your stronger witness, they're going to tie everything together. They're the Lego blocks that are going to tie everything together. So what that last agent is going to do is talk about how he put this case together, the criminal behavior Mr. Combs was involved in, and how he's using this corporation to shield himself in this criminal activity. So that's how you get the RICO. So that's why they're going to have this federal agent testify last.
On Wednesday morning, they're having a charges conference. What does that mean?
A charging conference is what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you do the jury charge, because what happens when a both sides rest and close and they make their final arguments, then the jury is read instructions on what they're going to do when they go back and deliberate. And so you want to make sure, number one, that it's worded properly, make sure that it has the correct law in there, make sure that you don't put the defense or you put the defense or the government at a disadvantage by some of the wording. Or in addition to that, if there are lesser included charges that can be included in that, you ask for that if you're Puffy. Or if there's something that the state decides, hey, we're not going to move forward on that particular charge, they can take that out. So what happens is basically a charging conference to make sure that the wording of the particular charge that the jury is going to go back and deliberate to and have their verdict forms to make sure that it's in line with what needs to be done.
Thursday is closing arguments. What should we expect?
Thursday's closing arguments. What did you say?
What should we expect?
You should expect a lot of fireworks coming from the state. They're going to go through all of their witnesses, and at the end, they're going to tie their closing argument down to the last agent who is going to testify. They're going to say that they met their burden. They're going to say that based on the criminal behavior because of the kidnapping, you got the Kid Cudi situation, you got the other people, the other two young ladies that are involved and had issues with Puffy. You got the fact that there are drugs involved. You got the fact that prostitutions are being flown from separate states and even separate countries over here to do what they need to do, what Puffy wants them to do, and it's sex. And so they're going to try to tie all of those things together, and they're going to try to say that these are not just singular crimes, that Puffy not only is committing these crimes, but he is involving a criminal organization, and the criminal organization that he is involving is Bad Boy Records and Combs Enterprises. And that's how they're going to use bringing that one lady in who works for him on the corporate side to be part of setting up the freak-offs and hiding some of the criminal behavior, the robbery, the sex trafficking, the assaults, those kinds of things, that kind of behavior. They're going to say that he used her and the corporation to partake in that criminal behavior, and that itself is a RICO.
As a criminal defense attorney, are you shocked that the prosecutors did not call Christina Courtroom, also known as KK?
I'm not shocked because she may have some issues. Like the state also knows a couple of things. They know typically that if Puffy was going to have witnesses, typically he's not going to have a lot of them. A lot of people are going to be scared to testify on his behalf because, once again, you got the government going against him. And they know that KK probably has her own issues. And so what they don't want to do is kind of put her up there, and she may have valid information, strong information that's going to implicate Puffy. But sometimes when jurors see that kind of stuff, some jurors take offense to it. And when I say this, I say, well, if she is involved in this kind of behavior, why is she walking away scot-free from everything and he's going to prison for however long, or y'all want him to go to prison? Why isn't everybody getting charged? And so in addition to that, they probably know some things about KK that are going to cause them problems. And you don't want to cause them problems when you have that. In addition to that, up until this point, if the federal government thinks they've done a great job without her, she may be too much of a risk for them to call.
On Thursday, for the closing arguments, the judge is giving the prosecutors 4 hours and also giving the defense 4 hours. Is that normal?
For closing arguments?
Yes.
It's not normal. I that's a long time to sit and listen to closing arguments. I think basically what he's doing is giving them the unlimited time to do their closing arguments, because that's almost what it is when you have a situation like that. Typically, in the cases that I've dealt with, I mean, sometimes you have about an hour, maybe at the most, to do your closing arguments. Hour and a half, man, but 4 hours, that's a long time. And typically the state is going to want the longer amount of time so that they can put all of the evidence that they've had out there to say, hey, we met our burden, and this is how we met our burden. We met our burden with this, and this. And I typically what you do, they may go with the just happen thing, right? You would have Puffy, for Puffy to be not guilty, he would just have to just happen to this, and just happen to that, and just happen. If you put a bunch of those on top of each other, then a jury is going to more likely convict him based on what they have. But with that being said, Brian Steele is a formidable opponent, and he probably wants to make sure on his end that he puts into question all of the witnesses and information that's been put out there by the state. In addition to that, one of the strategies that I think is happening here, and this is why you get Calvin Johnson, 25-year attorney, on here with you. If the state has made some mistakes, when you do the appeal, you don't want a lot of information to say, hey, on the appeal, the state made a mistake. However, the mistake is not the deciding factor of the case, right? If Puffy testifies and they put witnesses up there and it goes bad, then on the appeal, what happens is you're able to say, hey, we lost because these mistakes were made. And you can't go back and say, hey, there was error, but because your guy testified and because we had A, B, C, D, and E when they did testify, this error is not reversible error. There's error and then there's reversible error. So if this error did not cause you to lose because you testified and this person did bad and that person did bad and they were able to lay their case out despite this error, then that's where you have the problem. What I'm thinking is going to happen is they're definitely going to appeal on a number of things that happened in this trial, and they're probably trying to limit the backline exposure that they could get opened up to by trying to contest that.
If there's an appeal, what does that look like? Is there a full court process again, or a whole different format?
It's a whole different format. The appeals, even if there are oral arguments, they don't last that long. But the problem with the appeal is it takes a while. You know, when you get an appeal, man, they can go anywhere from 6 months to 2 years in Texas. It takes, because you got to get all of the transcripts. You got to get the lawyers time to review every single itty bitty of the transcript. You got to give the court reporter the ability and the time to be able to produce that transcript. And then when it gets to the lawyers do what we call shepherdizing, or making sure that they go back and they look at all of the cases in the past that were similar to Puffy Combs' case and see if they can find those errors where maybe the judge allowed some information in, or some testimony was allowed, or juror was wrongly removed, or the judge made an error in some of the decision making in the trial. So those are the things that you want to be able to do when you're doing an appeal. But the appeal process takes a while because it's a lot of work. You got a lot of book lawyers that do that. When I say book lawyers, I'm a trial lawyer, which means I'm going to court. I'm out front. I like asking questions. I like meeting with the clients. I like engaging with the jurors. The book lawyers, the other lawyers that do the appeals, are book lawyers. They go in and they look at the transcripts and they try to find mistakes. They try to find law that will justify overturning a verdict if particular mistakes happen. Okay, and those mistakes can be a violation of evidentiary rules, violation of constitutional rights, wrongful removal of jurors. There are a number of things that Puffy probably is going to try to use to testify. He's going to try to use to try to get that appeal granted if he loses.
I've been in the courtroom every day, even during the jury selection. About 2 weeks ago, the defense stood up and said, "Your Honor, we're going to need extra time. We're going to call more witnesses than expected. This case could go beyond July the 4th. Last week, the defense said, "Your Honor, we only need 2 to 5 days for witnesses to question in this case." Now, as of yesterday, the defense says they're not calling one witness. What do you think is going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. You never want to let the other side know what you're going to do and not do. So you kind of hide your hand a little bit. Like, for
Wow.
example, if I tell them that I'm not going to call any witnesses, then I can call maybe Christina Corum because I know they're not going to call anybody to be able to rebut anything she says. In addition to that, if I have a potential witness list that's long, right, the state has to also prepare for those witnesses that they think I'm going to call, right? I want to waste their time. I don't want them comfortable because they damn sure wasted mine. Because when they gave the defense witness list, I would imagine it's probably 50, 60, 70 names on there. Easy. And so as a defense attorney, we have to get ready for y'all for all that. So when the state does that to me, and let's say they call 10, 12 witnesses, 15 witnesses, when they gave me a list of 70, yeah, I'm going to play with them too. I'm going to be like, hey, look, yeah, I might need 5, 6 days on my witnesses. I might need 2 weeks. Or I'll come back, I'm going to call less. I'm just going to need 5 days, then 2 days, and then now nothing. They do that so that the state has to spend a lot of time getting themselves ready to do what? To potentially deal with these witnesses. So that's why you do that.
Wow. So this is the reason why we appreciate having you on, because I would have never thought of that one, and I've been in court every day. So let's get into the verdict sheet because it's quite different than what we kind of expected in regards to this case. As far as count one, in regards to racketeering, it seems that they're only focusing on Chris Capricorn Clark, the kidnapping that happened in LA, and also the kidnapping that happened in New York. That's the racketeering points of interest. What are your thoughts on that?
They want to try to keep it simple. What they have identified is the strongest ones that they have cases for. So these are based on the testimony. They feel like those are the strongest points that they can get those convictions on. And so they're going after him on those lines. And in addition to that, you don't want the jury to have to overthink and think too much about stuff. So they are probably going to draw a direct line showing that they have proved and met the state's burden on those two issues. And so that they keep it simple, they want to go there. Now, is there other behavior that he could have got charged with when it comes to that kind of stuff? Yes. But they're trying to keep it simple.
I noticed that in regards to this case, in fact, I think I mentioned it to you several times that Capricorn Clark was the strongest witness that I saw while sitting in court. She basically drew out these pictures of what happened with Kid Cudi and how that whole burglary, arson, Diddy shows up to her house with a gun banging on the door. She made it seem like maybe the gun was hitting the door. He says, you're going to come with me. We're going to kill this N-word. They go to the house. She puts Diddy inside the house along with one of his security guard / henchmen. What are your thoughts?
And see, that's the thing, that she wants to include him in the criminal behavior. How does she know? Because she was his chief of staff. She was his go-to person. She was a person that he trusted. And she is a person that ties Sean Combs, the person, to Sean Combs, the criminal organization. That's why they needed her. That's why they have her. That's why that particularly hurts. And I'm going to tell you this. I have to tell people this because it's a thing, right? When you have an assistant that works for you, when you do what I do, or you do what Puffy does, or you do what somebody else does, like me and my assistant that had been working for me for a long time, we're never going to get crossways because we know too much about each other. And she knows too much about what I have to do as a person and as a business and as a lawyer. So you got to have somebody that it has unilateral loyalty to you and that won't fold. You know what I mean? You don't want nobody folding on you. When I say that, it's because you want to make sure that you can trust the person that's your assistant. So when you have situations like this, yes, you probably would have rolled for him, but when the feds come in, that's a whole nother ball game, man, because they come at you with football numbers. When you're 35 and they're talking about giving you 30 or 35 years, you won't be out till you're a senior citizen. You don't want to play around with that. So those are the things that kind of happen. when you have people like this in power, like Puffy.
Okay, so that's charge one, racketeering, and we just discussed A, the kidnapping in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as B, she talked about how Diddy had borrowed some jewelry from Jacob the jeweler.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Jesus piece necklace, a
Mm-hmm.
bracelet, and a watch. It
Mm-hmm.
went missing, and she discovered it at the airport. She called back to the office at 440 Broadway, told them to lock down the building.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did that. They did not find the jewelry. Um, then they started looking at her. Diddy's a security guard took her to her house, searched the house high and low between her and her roommate. The
Mm-hmm.
next day, he subjected her, brought her to the corporate building that was under construction. She said they walked through the front door. Now, he brought her there basically from her apartment, escorted her, went into the building. They locked the doors behind her. She went to the sixth floor. She said they opened up either the elevator or the door. She sees this thick, probably white guy, 5 times her size, smoking cigarettes like a freight train. He sits her down and says, "Listen, if you don't pass this lie detector test, B, we're going to throw you in the in the East River." And she was so nervous, so contentious that she did not pass the first one or two. He says, "Listen, you have to calm down because if not, you're going to end up in the East River." So this is the second point of interest when it comes to kidnapping. What are your thoughts?
And hold on, this so I'm sure as you're going down these things, are these the things that are on this list? And is this
Yes,
like
there is. Yeah, we're on
Yes.
B right now. And let me tell you, basically what it is, y'all know, anybody who's watching New Jack City, and I hate to make a New Jack City reference. I remember the situation where, yeah, Nino brought everybody in to the table and brought his dog with him, dressed all in black. Man, I know the more I can do like a one-man play on a whole movie, but that's a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, when you do that, when you create that environment, man, it can be very fearful. And when you and kidnapping is we're holding somebody against their will. So the deal is when you got a big guy in there and they're talking about throwing you in the river and the doors are locked behind you, you can't leave when you want to. But I think if I'm the lawyer, I'm going to ask, hey, did you ever ask if you could leave? So that's one thing that I'm going to ask. And that's one thing that they should have asked because, locking the door behind you is one thing. But if I ask to go, you hold me, it's another. So that's one thing. But there's going to be an implication that based on the fact that they were locking the door and threatening to throw her in the East River, that she could not leave. So that's an issue because when you lock the door, you take her somewhere where it's under construction, it's not even finished yet, and you got somebody 5 times your size in there, there's going to be an implication that you can't leave if you want to leave. So that's going to be a problem for Puffy, depending on how that is argued.
Okay, so point three is sex trafficking of Cassie. What are your thoughts about that?
Man, that right there, that's where I'm going to have a problem because Cassie was involved in a lot of this behavior. They tried to play games with the words by leaving stuff out. If I'm his lawyers, that the sex trafficking, I'm going to argue hard that I didn't do that, or that Cassie, if she's involved in it, she was the one doing it. She was the one encouraging it, and she was the one wanting to do it and bring this guy and that guy. So sometimes jurors will look at that kind of stuff and not find him guilty of the sex trafficking. When it comes to the sex trafficking, because it seems like at times some of the other people either wanted to do it, were heavily involved in doing it, and actually enjoyed doing it. So it's not against your will when you want to do it. And it's one of those things where if they argue it properly, they're going to try to avoid the sex trafficking convictions.
Okay, count three, transportation with intent to commit prostitution relating to Cassandra Ventura Cassie.
That's going to be an issue. But at the same time, remember, Cassie sometimes is pushing the freak off themselves. Cassie sometimes is doing the ordering. Cassie's wanting to do this. So if I'm the defense, I'm going to argue that she really wanted to do this. She really wanted to partake in this kind of behavior. So with that being said, I'm going to make an argument that Sean Puffy Combs is not guilty of that. Cassie actually played a part in bringing these workers into town, and this is something that she wanted to do. And so that's something that if I'm the defense attorney, I'm going to make a hard argument for that one.
Do you think because they had a relationship that was, she was like a side chick, but more like a main chick, it's hard to distinguish? Do you think that
Yeah.
that makes it difficult for them to really sink their teeth into Sean Puffy Combs?
Yeah, it does make it harder, right? It does make it harder. And see, one of the things that I try to tell people, that somebody just made a comment, all it takes is one time not wanting to do it. But how do we know she didn't want to do it? It seems like that this was behavior that she allowed herself to be involved in, and based on her messages, and I'm not being misogynistic or anything like that, she seemed like from some of the messages that were out to the public here now, that were out in that court, that were given to the defense and the discovery, that she actually wanted to do the free calls and say, I can't wait till the next one. So when you have that kind of stuff happening, that really puts your credibility in question. So it's one of those things there that you got to do, you know?
Some people argue that how could she be a sex worker when she's actually paying the sex workers to actually come and perform? What do you think about that?
And see, that's the thing. And that's the biggest problem that I think Cassie has. I think Cassie did not go as well as they probably hoped that they would for them with her, because she seemed to be at times involved in a number of the freak offs. She seemed to be wanting to engage in the freak offs. In addition to that, she seemed also like she really wanted to do this, and that she really wanted to even come back to Puffy allegedly after she didn't want to do freak offs. And so these are the kinds of things and behaviors where if somebody made me have sex with guys, 4 or 5 guys, and I really didn't want to do it, I'm not going to stay in a relationship with the person. I'm not going back over there, especially if I already got a relationship with another man that I'm over here with. I got a husband. I got a new relationship I'm in. Why am I coming back over here unless I want to come back over here? And it's not whether if we believe Cassie or not, it's reasonable doubt based on her behavior, her sometimes inclusion and her sometimes exclusion, and her willingness in some of those messages to want to actually do the freak offs. Who's to say when she did and when she didn't want to do it, based on the waffling that she did in her own text messages? So that's a problem for the state. So if I'm the attorneys for Puffy, I'm really going to go hard to try to avoid the sex trafficking convictions.
Okay, count 4, sex trafficking of Jane Doe.
And see, that situation may be a little different, because when I say sex trafficking Jane Doe, she seems like probably that she didn't want to partake in it. And if she did once, maybe she didn't want to do it the other times. And so she doesn't have the same problems, I think, that Cassie has, if I'm correct. So I think that's a problem for Puffy. That's a problem for Puffy. But at the same time, what you want to be able to do is say, hey, look, if that person came to do multiple freak offs with me, if they didn't want to do it, all she had to do is say something. Or maybe if she didn't want to do it, why did she come back to work for me? Why did she come back to continue to do the freak offs? Those are the kind of things that you make the arguments about.
When it comes to Cassie, people in the media at large actually saw them together a lot. They thought they were an item. Mm-hmm. Jane says that when she got with Diddy, basically he told her from the beginning, this is an open relationship. I have multiple women. They had an intercourse session, mm-hmm. and it was followed by giving her $10,000. They did a love contract where basically she agreed to certain terms. I think in that contract, it could have been implied that she would be doing some sort of freak offs. He's mm-hmm. paying her rent of $10,000 every month. and even to this day, he's still paying her rent. He's also
Hmm.
paying for her legal fees.
Hmm.
So, how do you interpret that as far as sex trafficking?
And see, that's another thing with itself, because you're actually paying somebody, and then they're actually partaking in some sexual behavior. I think that's a dumb contract. Like, believe it or not, I represented a pimp one time, and he had these girls sign these contracts. I thought it was stupid.
What?
I think that's stupid. I'm serious. I think that's stupid. I think it's stupid. I mean, it's asinine. It's stupid. I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, but at the same time, a lot of these people have these sugar daddy relationships. But when you specifically bring sexual action to that, it's one thing. But if it's just for companionship, you can do what you want to do. But when you imply that you got to partake in the sexual act and you're giving somebody 10 grand a month, hey man, that's not a good look. That's stupid.
So, let's say, for instance, you and I, we sell cars together, right?
Hmm.
And I sell a car and you're expecting your commission 50-50. You say, hey, send me the 7,000. There are several instances with Jane where after they had a freak off, she was hitting up Puffy saying, hey, I need that money you promised me.
See,
You see what I mean?
and see, that's the thing. It's like, I hate to say it, but I think people get comfortable and things get raggedy. And see, when I say things get raggedy in today's world with technology, cell phones, text messaging, geo mapping. We talked about that in the last meeting that we had. It's very, very easy to go back and say, hey, on November 5th, there was a freak off. On November 6th, the morning of, hey, I need my money for the freak off yesterday. And it's one of those things where, man, you can actually track between messages, between times, between flights. The whole world is watching. And so when I say that, it's funny. It's Watching the World 777 is your name on your show, but the world is watching. The world is watching everything. So it's not an accident that we're on Watching the World 777, because the world is watching every single thing that you do. There's cameras, there's cell phone messages, there's text messages, there's geo mapping. There's facial recognition software. The government can find out everything that you're doing. And so you got to be careful. And then when you get into cash transactions, it's a whole nother ball game.
So she hit up Diddy, says, hey, I need that money you promised. Diddy says, I'll get you the money. I'm going to get you 15,000, baby girl. And here's the
Mm-hmm.
part. Next day, she gets a contact from Christina Coram, who's running a company, asking her for her wiring instructions and sending her the money.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
And see, that's the thing. That there you go. You got the act, you got the ask, you got the give, and you got the wiring from your company going to the person. See, what agitates me, which I don't understand, and I'm not saying that I'm going to do wrong or I'm encouraging my clients to do wrong. Why not take a bunch of cash and pull it out and just give it to the person? That way you ain't got to worry about it. But it's those kind of things and decisions that if you're going to do stuff, I always tell people, I prefer not you to do wrong, right? I don't want people to do wrong. But if you're going to do wrong the right way. So that's my thing. If you're going to do wrong the right way. Don't do it like this. Don't be sloppy.
I keep saying I've been in the courtroom every day. So let me tell you a real thought. I feel like, personally, my opinion, that if they lose this case and they didn't call any witness, that's trouble to me. I don't know why.
Well, this is the one thing that I have to try to explain to everybody. I had a murder case once and I didn't call any witnesses. And I had my reasons. And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you why I couldn't call any witnesses. Number one, I was scared that they was going to find out a bunch of additional information about my client if I put them up there. Unfortunately, I thought possibly, and I didn't know for sure, and I found out later on that I was right, that this guy had been involved probably in a couple of other murders. I kind of suspected it. I did not want to go down the route of where those things could be exposed, because I felt like he could possibly have other charges that were end up down the pipeline. And so I did not want him to get up there for that. In addition to that, if I had to call some of the other witnesses, they were problematic because of the situations that they were involved in, and that they could expose some of the other things that were happening. So That's why when you talk about Puffy, you have to realize everybody that's willing to testify for Puffy, that's been around Puffy, have saw something. And if they get up there and lie about it, what's that, perjury? And the government, if I'm one of Puffy's witnesses, I'm paranoid because I'm like, this ain't a regular case. This is the federal government. They can pull my text messages. I get up there one day, say I get up there as the first witnesses, and I lie about three or four things. Okay, what happens when I get out the stand? We want to hold that witness. They're gonna go back, personal assistant. I want you to go grab all the cell phone messages from Jimmy John, and go through this date and see what text messages that Jimmy John got. Well, when they go back to the text messages, what do they do? Catch them lying. Then it's perjury. Then those people are in trouble. And if I'm Puffy, I'm keeping a lot of people around me that's loyal, but they've saw a lot of things. So chances for me to call them on my behalf are slim to none, because they could implicate themselves and get themselves in trouble.
So based on what you've seen so far, we're winding down to the final hour. Do you think that this racketeering part of this case is going to stand up?
I think it can, and I think it's more likely that it will, because of the way that he has handled business. You've created a situation where you've used your corporate to take care of a lot of your personal, and not we're just saying using your corporate to take care of your personal, but you've used your corporate to be involved in criminal behavior, bribery, prostitution, sex trafficking, kidnapping, threats. You know what I'm saying? So, those are the kind of things where racketeering, that's what that's about. I mean, that's what you're doing. When you have the ability as a billionaire to your organization that has 5,200 employees to be able to go out and do all of this stuff on a regular basis, and you got your closest assistants that you have access to, and you're telling them to do A, B, and C, and we know that behavior is coming from the top, that's racketeering. And the reason why they get RICOs is, like I said before, if me, you, and DJ Genesis are involved in a criminal behavior, and let's say you tell me, hey, go handle this situation, and I go tell DJ Genesis, hey, go kill that guy, go handle that situation for me. Even though you may have never talked to DJ Genesis, you might not even know who she is. But because you and I work together and you gave me instructions and I found a way to include somebody else in these instructions to do what we wanted you to do, that's racketeering, that's RICO, that's a problem.
Okay, so let me run this past you. I know this is probably a wild thought, but in my mind, I would have preferred to, now that I've seen Donald Trump pardon people, I would have rather put my money toward Trump's pardon than to drop all this money on attorneys if there's a strong chance of losing. Is that something, a strategy, or that's something you want to stay away from?
You want to stay away from that, number one, because if the state made mistakes, you want to give the state the ability and the time to make mistakes, because they've made mistakes. There was a case here in Dallas, Texas. I probably shouldn't be talking too much about this guy. Don't like me. But anyway, there was a guy, well-known guy. I'll put it like this. He's kind of, remember The Wire? Clay Davis? Remember Clay Davis from The Wire?
Right.
We have our own version of that here in Dallas. Well, the federal prosecutor made some mistakes and did not turn over all the discovery in a timely fashion. And not only did they do it once, they did it multiple times. And because of that, there was a mistrial and they could not try him again. And he walked. So you want to give the federal government an opportunity to make mistakes, because nobody's perfect. In addition to that, you still want to have the ability to be able to appeal. That's why you don't take a plea deal, because when you take a plea deal, you're waiving your ability to appeal. The only thing, if you take a plea deal, the only thing you can appeal to is a number you got. And that's not much of an appeal. So what you want to be able to do is give the state an opportunity to make a mistake. And let's say Donald Trump may pardon Puffy, and he has good reason to, and I'll explain that to you in a minute.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand. So when it comes to, let's say, the sex trafficking with Cassie, do you think there's something solid there?
I think there could be, but There's reasonable doubt there because she participated in it. She ordered it, and there's text messages that said she wanted it. To me, if I'm the defense attorney, that's reasonable doubt because you don't know when she did want it and when she didn't want it. Are you 100% sure you had to send this man to jail on sex trafficking on Cassie when she got $30 million already? We know that. In addition to that, she's gung-ho and happy about wanting to go to the next freak off. She can wait till the next one. So when I see somebody make that kind of statement, then why am I? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. What's the difference in basic count 2, sex trafficking, Cassie, and then 3, conspiracy? What's this conspiracy about?
The conspiracy is when you when you get together and have a plan with one or more people to do the sex trafficking, right? So in one part, they're just saying Puffy is just sex trafficking Cassie. The second part is Puffy and Cassie or other individuals are involved in sex trafficking of Cassie and others. So that's why you have that broken down to 2 separate situations. So one is just Puffy doing it. The other one is you've included Cassie or other individuals involved in your sex trafficking, like KK and other folks that you had do stuff.
Okay. So what about Jane? Do you think that the sex trafficking is there?
That's a problem that it may be there. And because of the situation that's there. But once again, it just depends on how the jury wants to see that. When somebody says that they're getting 10 grand a month, they've agreed to do A, B, and C. But when you start talking about sexual acts, if there's listed agreement to have sexual acts for certain amounts of money a month, that's a problem. But with that being said, if there's just an allowance that's given to her every month, and then you have to think about it, she testifies she still gets her $10,000 a month, right now. She can't do nothing for Puffy in there. He can't do nothing. He locked up, but he still continued to make sure that she got paid and that he helped her. And so some people can look at that as that might be a relationship as opposed to just a situation where you had to do A, B, and C. You got to be very, very careful when you start looking at stuff like this because the general public is, I'm not saying they've softened up toward situations like this, but there's been some blowback when people start getting money and people are involved in sexual acts and behaviors, and then they come back later on, oh, he raped me. Oh, he did. He made me do this. He made me do that. And then they get all this money. And there's been a blowback against some of that, and you take into account the president. And so I hate to use him as an example, but there's a reason why this thing he might pardon Puffy. I wouldn't put it past him. And there's a reason why in his mind he probably should think about it.
Okay, so we're going to open it up for the audience to come up. But before we do that, I want to ask you one final question, right?
Yes, sir.
From sitting in the courtroom, I think that Diddy was trying to bring porn that you see on the internet, TV, what have you, to real life. Mm-hmm. And he started bringing 2, 3, 4 people together and paying for the arrangement per se. Mm-hmm. What's the difference in what he's doing, paying, than the porn stars, the porn industry? They're flying people from Florida, New York to LA. They're paying them to have sex together. What's the difference in the porn industry and what Diddy did?
See, that's the argument that I'm going to make. I'm going to be very, very creative. Listen, people are able to have sex when they want to have sex. And most of the time, Diddy's not actually involved in having the sex. He just likes to view it. And when you think about it, it seems like he was more involved in watching the porn as opposed to watching the sex act, as opposed to actually in being involved in it. So there can be an argument made that, hey, what he's doing is he's just having real life porn basically happen in front of him. And that's the same thing that they do in LA and New York and Florida and some of these other places that allow those people to shoot, in Vegas that allows people to shoot. And that's what Hugh Hefner did in a sense. And so there's a number of arguments that can be made for that kind of stuff.
Okay, very good. We have Doreen Armstrong in the audience. She says, were there celebrities participating in any of his freak-offs? I can answer that one. That has not come out in court. Not in court. That's a rumor that was spread throughout the internet. Nick Short says, but what would the jury think about I want the freak-offs text? I'm just playing devil's advocate. You want to take that?
Yeah, what do you mean what the jury's going to think I want the freak off? They're going to think that she wanted to do it, that she wanted to partake in it, that she really wanted the freak off to happen. And if you want a freak off to happen, then nobody's making you do it against your own will. And matter of fact, it's almost like when Puffy mentions another freak off, oh, I can't wait for the next one. Let's hurry up and get this going. Let's make that happen. And so that's where that's a problem.
Okay, very good. So we have a guest up. DJ Genesis, you want to take care of that?
I think that's our welcome Vetty friend to the stage. She normally does the show with us, but she kind of she just came in a little bit late. But what was it? We had any questions so far, Vet?
Just catch me up on speed. What was going on? I didn't even.
Well, what's going to happen is that Diddy's probably not going to call any witnesses. The jury charge was put to where they're going to try to get the jury charge so they can give the jury instructions on what they need to do when they go back and deliberate. So they're in the process of doing that. Puffy's not going to call any witnesses, and they're just going to call one more witness, which is going to be the detective to kind of draw everything together. But we're asking specific questions about KK, Jane Doe, Cassie, in terms of what we think about the sex trafficking charges in each situation. And Betty, and you've done a great job of being devil's advocate sometimes, because when I talk to a lot of women, they go like, oh, she was forced. I know how that feels. People can push you into doing this, and people that can do, people force me to do that. But and I know that there are women out there that want to do A, B, and C. They'll participate in it. They want to get paid from it, or they just want to do things that maybe in the past that women would not want to do. So you always have to take that into account.
Especially when there's money involved. Of course, a lot of thirsty women want that money. And to me, I don't think he's going to get, I hope he does not get the RICO stat. I hope he gets found not guilty.
And I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to tell y'all this. And this is one of the things that I talk about. And I'm glad what you just said, when money is involved. And I know, for example, our President Trump, as when he had his numerous situation with women, and they would hold it over his head that he either gave them some money and hooked up with them to have sex and this and that. And so he may have an incentive as president to pardon Puffy. And not just because he's president, because there are a lot of men of power, men with influence, and men with money, that if Puffy goes down on something like this, there's a lot of guys that can have a number of problems. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have those problems, but at the same time, there's a lot of men of influence with money that have to be careful now, because all somebody has to do is jump out and say, he made me have sex, he made me do this, he made me do that. I want $20 million, and I want you to charge him with a crime. And so that's a hard optic. You got to be careful about that.
But don't you think that it's so ironic that his RICO charges is stemming off of his sex life of two women? Like, it's just, and then, okay, he had employees that he treated bad, but that off of two women.
You can have it off of one. If you're forcing one person to do something against their will, you can have that on one. Now, I will tell you, Cassie, that's questionable because of her own behavior. But maybe the other person, there may be a problem there. But like I said, he having these folks sign contracts, which I think is stupid. Like I said, I've had a situation where I've represented a guy and he made the mistake of doing that kind of foolishness. And so Cassie, it's questionable. And when it comes to her, because of some of the stuff that she said, I got to be honest. But the other person, that's going to be a problem for him.
Hey, so here's another question. We have a young lady on the panel who just joined, Queens.
How you doing, Queens? How you doing?
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody in the chat. Hey, everybody on the panel, on the stage. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Good.
Great.
Okay, good. It's nice meeting you.
And also, real quick, Vet, you have a static sound in the background of your mic. I muted you. I guess you gotta figure out if it's your headphones or something like that, but it's like a staticky sound. or just turn it off when you're not speaking. When you say something, unmute, and when you're not talking, just mute it.
Okay, Queen, what you got for us tonight?
Well, I wanted to ask a quick question. It might not be that quick, but I wanted to know, why do you think P. Diddy even paid her off?
Because Puffy is a billionaire, right? So there's a lot of stuff that Cassie knows about him. You know, me and Mel were talking about this earlier. When you have somebody that you've been around in a relationship or even a personal assistant, they know where the bodies are buried, right? And so when you're in a relationship with somebody and you're somebody of influence like Puffy, Puffy does not want a lot of this stuff getting out, man. He has an image to uphold. You know, think about it. He was Rock the Vote. He was the Rock. I mean, I'm not happy that these kind of things have happened because Puffy has played a huge part, but whether you want to say it or not, in all of our lives. Right. I mean, come on, think about it. I mean, he brought Biggie out. I mean, he basically found Jodeci and Mary J. Blige. People don't, you know, Heavy D. He played a huge part in Heavy D's career. I mean, he's played a huge part in a lot of people's careers, and he's been the soundtrack to a lot of our lives. Let's be honest. So if you're Puffy and you have all these brand deals and you have all this stuff that you've probably done, and you got a lot of very influential friends, you don't want to go to court and all that stuff coming out and people talking about your friends. You got to protect your friends. You got to protect your family. You got to protect your legacy. So that's why you pay her off.
So let me ask you a question then. Do you think there was a lot of people that he needed to pay off? Because it seemed like there's a lot of people telling the same story. And we were just having this conversation last night about, you know, there's a lot of people that tell a story, but in all those lies, you got to find the truth somewhere.
Well, you remember something happened before he got charged, and I kind of tied I kind of connected the dots to it. Right. Remember when he was giving everybody their masters back? Do y'all know what that came with? You had to sign an NDA to get your masters back.
But can I ask you a question before you go further? When you sign it, so if we want to use him in the lieu of an NDA, would that NDA stop you from speaking if you're being abused?
Yes.
So, what would the guidelines be to? Because even if we want to equate an NDA to him and an NDA to something else,
you can't speak on none of it.
What restrictions would you put there if you're being abused?
You can't put, if you're being abused, you have to make a choice.
Contract out the window.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So you don't want. Some people didn't sign it and didn't want their rights back. Some people decided not to take the deal.
But I know earlier you said you think Cassie, they had like a contract. You said you feel like they had a contract. So even if they had a contract, I want to know what part of that contract is null and voided, especially if you could see on the camera where someone is basically beating you to a pulp out of a elevator to get you.
That wasn't her doing that. That was basically the government getting that and bringing it up. In addition to that, when you get a subpoena and you got an NDA, you have to testify. That's a criminal court. You can get charged with something. And you have to realize too, in no NDA makes you to have to go to jail. And you have to realize whether we want to be honest with this about this or not, Cassie was involved in some criminal behavior.
I believe that.
Period. I mean, point blank. So I believe that she was. Ain't no doubt about it. So at the end, but she has immunity, but she was involved in criminal behavior.
Okay, so can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
So I get what you said, and I also hear what Venetia's saying as well. But let me ask you, did you see any part of that of abuse from P. Diddy to Cassie? Was any part of that abuse? I mean, tell me the lines of the abuse, the non-abuse, acceptable, and then whatever her past is. Like what part holds him accountable for abuse? Because I know we talk about a lot of things, and she does this and she did that, and she had a record and so forth and so on. But what part would you hold Puffy accountable for as far as abuse?
Let's keep it 100.
Abuse.
Let me say this real quick. Let me keep this around.
Exactly. So why I want to know, when do he get held accountable for the abuse? I understand
when she filed a state charge, not a federal charge. This is not a.
That's how you do that. That's how you do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna delineate this. Is his abuse a RICO? No, it's not.
No,
the abuse is abuse. and they need to file state charges, and he need to go to jail for that. Because I'm telling you right now, if Cassie was my sister, cousin, daughter, I'm putting foot to ass to Puffy, point blank. I'm not trying to be funny. And Puffy needs to go under the jail for what he did to her. But is that a RICO? No, it's not.
But what about the other people that are claiming the same things?
What do you mean the other people that are claiming the same
other
thing?
people that are claiming the abuse from Puffy as well? Like the other workers, other people. I mean, and what was the young lady name? She was a white young lady. She was on the Trump when he used to fire people, because she did a lot of claims that Puffy was very abusive to them even back then.
Well, and this is what I'll tell you, and this is the thing. If that happened, then they need to file a police report, get their state charges, and they need to go ahead and go testify. But my concern is people will say they're abused, but they never made any charges until now. Or they'll go say, instead of telling the police, give me $2 million, or I'm gonna go tell everybody what you did. Or I'm gonna tell that's the kind of stuff
but will that stand up? Because it's 10 years old of that abuse.
But once again,
Cassie.
Okay, but this is the other
for
part.
For a state charge, it would not stand in court because it's 10 years old.
But the other problem is this. Remember, the other problem is this. It could stand in court because they got a video of it. That's not the issue. The problem is what happens when somebody makes an abuse claim and there is no video. And there is no medical records where she went to the hospital.
That's hearsay.
It's not just
hearsay.
It's not just Puffy's issue.
There's no way that you can really prove that Puffy did what Kid Cudi said he did, because you have his DNA was not anywhere in the situation, and he had other people do it. So I guess that's the RICO part of it, where the RICO is coming in, but Puffy don't have no ties to that except for he said, she said.
But this is my issue that I have with all of this, and I want y'all to understand one thing. Of course, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I'm very defensive when it comes to people getting charged with stuff, because I've seen the law used against our people way too many times in really bad situations. My problem is, especially when you're a man, when somebody said you did something 10 years ago and there's no proof that you didn't do it, and I'm gonna tell you, the court says that they have to prove you did do it, but in reality, you have to prove that you didn't do it.
That's right.
Because once somebody makes, I remember there was a church pastor here, and I thought he was a pretty good guy. I trust him. I still believe him to this day. But when somebody made some allegations against him, everybody ran away from him like somebody cut the light on, the roaches came out. And I had some concerns about that, because I really had concerns about the people making the accusations based on their past and some things that I knew about them. But at the same time, the safe bet was to run away from the man. So everybody's safe bet, when somebody says Mel, Calvin, abuse me, the safe thing for a lot of people is just to run away from Mel and Calvin, or run away from even you, because they don't want to be attached to it. And let's say it happened 10 years ago, I may not be in a position to even remember where I was at 5 o'clock on December 19th of 2001. You know, I don't even think like that. Most people don't. So, and then sometimes you have to look at things like that. When people don't report things, I get concerned when too much time passes, because then you go, number one, you try to sue for civil money. And then if it's a criminal case, it's hard for you to defend that as a defendant, because you have to go back in time. And a lot of us here can't remember what we was doing yesterday at 2 o'clock, much less 20 years ago.
Correct.
I have a question. Bill, let me see. Bill Cosby. Okay. Was his case a RICO? Was that a RICO case? Or how did Bill Cosby end up going to jail? Wasn't it sexual assault, and then and it was multiple women? Was that a federal case?
Well, mainly,
and it was over 30 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, it was one woman, and then they allowed all of those other women to testify, which you cannot do. I kind of wondered. I was like, why are they letting all of these people come in like that? And then in addition to that, the one person who made the complaint had come to Bill on several occasions and got tickets, got this, got that from him. She stayed around him for years after that and got plenty of favors after the alleged rape incident that she had. So I got concerns with stuff like that. And then I'm gonna be real. We black, so let's have this conversation. I am paranoid when you see either a black man or a black woman hit $1 billion or hundreds of millions of dollars. What seems to happen? You got Bill Cosby. Now you got Tyler Perry. Now you got Puffy. You know, think about it. I get concerned about stuff like that. He went after Jay-Z. So I have to be concerned when a people of color get money, then somebody starts coming out of the woodwork, because that's one of the ways civilly you can take people's money away and take their freedom away, and you can take all the power away that they have. People forget Puffy gave a lot of money to black colleges. He did Rock the Vote. He's given he has his nonprofit that pays for people's schools, has paid for rents. I mean, he is very philanthropic when it comes to African American folk, as well as Bill Cosby is, as well as Tyler Perry is, as well as Jay-Z is. So you got to be very, very careful when. And I always use my third eye. I go like, why are they coming after these people? But I always try to tell people, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to make excuses for anybody, but when you get money, you got to kind of act a certain way. You got to kind of make sure you shield yourself from certain kind of behaviors. But I still have to always pay attention to why are you going after the black folks and not going after other folks? Like, you know, Weinstein, we don't get to see the stuff with him that we get to see with Puffy.
No,
we didn't get to see the stuff with, think about it. We didn't get the stuff with the other boy. What was his name? Jeffrey. What was his name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, with Epstein. Let me tell you something. The stuff that Epstein doing was far worse. Epstein was having high school students, 15 to 16-year-olds, recruit their classmates to work as interns, and then fly them to freak. And then fly them to Freak Island.
Yep.
And so that's the kind of stuff that, think about it. And he was connected to a whole lot of people.
Yes.
So
billionaires.
And so I get upset when I see that kind of stuff, and they don't go after them, but they put all our business out here. I mean, we got to hear about Puffy and all this damn baby oil. Hell, I can't go to the store and buy no baby oil no more. I don't want nobody looking at me funny. I don't use baby oil. I use lotion now. I can't use no baby oil no more. I mean, he's gave baby oil a bad name. Just being honest. Think about it.
Here's one other thing, because I did want to just say that this sets a legal. If he gets convicted, it sets a legal precedent. The same thing with the Bill Cosby situation. Same thing. So we don't understand that what happens is that they are using the legal system to pass legislation. So what they'll do is if they get a conviction on this, then they will be able to use this as an actual example, in court.
Can I break up something for y'all real quick?
Yep.
And I'll say this, and y'all know we are kind of in the midst of having a little bit of a gender war in America, right? So, and the reason why I say that Puffy, that Trump made pardon Puffy is because when you go after a powerful man that's a billionaire and convict him of something like this, then you avail other powerful men who are billionaires to the same kind of scrutiny, criminal charges, and microscope. And there's going to be a backlash against that because there's a lot of men in power right now that are going to look at this in that way. Unfortunately, if that's the truth. Now, a lot of people won't even have this conversation. They'll shy away from it. But I'm going to tell you the truth. There are a lot of men in America that think that Me Too went too far. They won't say it a lot, but they're going to try to create legislation and create situations to make sure that it don't happen to other people that are similarly situated as Puffy is, because they're friends with a lot of these people. So they're not going to want this to continue to happen. I'm just keeping it 100. We got to keep it real on this show. And that's what we do.
So if that defense does not even step in and do anything, if the defense does not step in and have any witnesses and they just kind of give up, what does that make Puff Daddy?
I want y'all to understand, they're not giving up. You have to realize a couple of things, right? Y'all taking that the wrong way. Let me work this down to y'all, right? If I'm the defense attorney and I've seen several things that I might be able to appeal, and there has been several in the situation. The removal of jurors, certain kind of testimony to be allowed, some of the rulings on some of the objections, some of the information, and in addition to that, if the state did not turn over all of the discovery, if you look at the chart, one of the charts they put up a damn chart and left out Cassie's text messages. So what you want to do is, if they've already made some mistakes that you feel like you might be able to appeal on, why am I going to put a case up there and then I testify, and the appeals court can say, they can do two things. They can say there was error, or but they need to find reversible error. When I say error and reversible error, let me break this down to you. Sometimes there's situations where there's error made in the decision by the judge or the court, but that error did not cause Puffy to lose the case, right? Because let's say there was error, but because the state proved A, B, C, D, and E, and in Puffy's testimony, they were able to get A, B, C, D, and E out of him, then that error that they made is now reversible, because they not only have to look at the error, but was that error big enough to cause him to lose? By not testifying, if they want to just try to appeal this, then they want to just appeal it. And they want to try to get a win there or get it reversed there. It actually may be smart for him, because I also think, and I told Mel this earlier, I've had a murder case where I couldn't call a witness because I was scared of some of the information that might get divulged by putting my client on the stand. My client, who I suspected, and I didn't know for sure, but I that he could have had another couple of bodies. And I knew if I stuck him up there, that those things could come out. And those are things that I might not have been ready for, and that would have hurt his case. So sometimes by not calling a witness, you're actually helping the defendant. And I'm going to tell you, Puffy has a lot of people close to him that know where all the bodies are buried. They spent years with this man. So why the hell would I call him up there and talk about some of the stuff that I've done, or call myself up there and talk about some of the stuff that I've done? That, hey, they just charging me with this. What about the stuff they don't know about? So It's smart for him not to call any witnesses, to be honest with you.
All right. So Calvin, thank you very much for doing this show with me tonight. I do have to leave, but you guys can continue with the show. I do have a young lady waiting to do another show, so she's been waiting patiently, and I don't want to, end that. So I just wanted to say thank you for the show. Thanks for your time, and I definitely look forward to connecting with you again. We'll do Sunday at 2:00.
Yes, we will. And there's a chance, everybody, we don't know for sure, that I might come to New York. We might do this show live, and we're probably going to definitely do that. I want to do that because I want to tie up all the loose ends. And plus I got some folks in New York I need to see. I got to come see more people out there. So I would love to come to New York, meet up with you guys, and maybe we do a live show. We all talk about it. I'm open to doing that. And that's something that we're discussing doing. So everybody, y'all keep watching the world with Mel 777, DJ Genesis, attorney Calvin Johnson, Bet, and now Queen's on with us. So hey, y'all, come check us out.
All right.
Calvin, I have a Mel, I'll see you later, and nice speaking with you. Calvin, I have a question for you. You still
no problem.
on
I'll
here?
do another 5 or 10 minutes, and I can hang on for another 10 minutes, and I'll be good.
Nope, that's fine. I wanted to ask about Gina. Now, Gina, she just voided the whole court procedure, everything. Will she get in trouble for that?
What do you mean, Gina avoiding the whole court procedure?
Gina is one of the girls. Yep, they couldn't find her, and she's supposed to testify and everything.
Well,
like she was subpoenaed.
Well, let me tell you, and I'm gonna keep her. She could get in trouble for that because you can't duck a subpoena. You can actually get charged because it's a court order. They can actually charge you with a crime. But I'm gonna tell you, I was telling people, we had a conversation, and when R. Kelly beat that case with that girl, people were like, well, they can't find her. She ain't gonna come testify. And I was like, I already know what happened. Kelly went and had somebody go get a bunch of cash. They put her on a bus or a train to another state. I'd put her on a train, not a bus. I put her on a train like an Amtrak train, because ain't nobody checking Amtrak. I'll send her to another state. Then I will fly her somewhere else. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I'd do that, but if I was R. Kelly, I'd do that. And I'd give her a lot of money, which I think that they did. And they sent her to a island.
A remote,
A remote island. They sent her somewhere
location.
where you ain't got to have no passports, no visa. And they put her in a hut and gave her an assistant for 2 or 3 weeks. And then she popped back up and came back to the States. And she was probably a couple of $1 million richer when she did it.
Mm.
And that's just being honest. That's being honest with you.
Yeah, but even after, if he get convicted, she's still going to get in. She can still a possibility get arrested as soon as she hit the airport.
She could, but one of the issues is a lot of the times they won't go after women like that.
It cost them too much money. For that little. They're not going to make no money off of that. They trying to get the RICO. The RICO is where the money's at.
And then on top of that, the government can be seen as a bully. This lady probably don't want to testify. She probably feel like her life in danger. She probably feels like the government can't protect you. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man, they can't protect you like that. They put you in witness protection, but nowadays witness protection is nothing. And the internet too live right now.
I have a question about this RICO, because there has to be a money trail somewhere that goes back to the federal government with these big, huge trials. Do the government get the money? Like, say he gets convicted to life in prison. Does the federal government get all of his money or like
assets too?
Or does he?
No,
is there like a fine?
They can fine him and make him pay his fines, but they don't take his money.
No.
And if I'm Puppy, and I'm gonna tell you, guys like that have money, they put their money in trust that you can't touch. That's what OJ did. They were mad as hell at OJ. OJ was like, I don't care, man. I got my money in the trust. I saw this coming. I already did this. And I'm telling you right now, I have me somewhere. I can go grab me some cash from somewhere. I'll put me some cash up somewhere. When I do come home, I got $4, $5, $6 million sitting somewhere, and I'm living happily ever after.
Mm. Well, why do you think Big Meech and them was out here broke? They probably weren't thinking like that.
Who say they broke?
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you. Listen, let me tell you something. I think I told y'all my story, right? So y'all know. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna go back to my Meech story. I'm in Dallas. I'm at the courthouse. A guy is arguing with his lawyer. They're not getting along. I've always come to court fly. I always handle my business. So the guy sees me. He goes, "What's up, bro? Hey, man, like what you handle yourself. You fly, man. Hey, man, give me your card, doc. Oh, cool. Man, I might need you, man. I'm going to file my lawyer, man. I might need you. It's 2 o'clock. I get a call like 10 o'clock that night. Cal. I said, who is this? It's so-and-so. You met me earlier today. I said, oh, yeah, in the elevator. Cool. He said, say, man, my lawyer went off my bond, man. I'm in jail right now, man. Hey, how much you going to charge me for this case I got? It's like, yeah, 12 G's. I said, how much you need down? 7,500. Okay. I'm going to have my uncle call you. Give me 10 minutes. He calls his uncle. The uncle wires me $7,500 within 10 minutes. And man, give me a bond. Get me up out of here. So shit. I go the next day. Day and a half later, I got him on the ground. Oh, bro, I appreciate you. I'm going to pay you more than you asked me for. I got you, doc. I appreciate you. I like the way you rock. So he goes back to Chicago and back to Atlanta. He had somehow used some fake documents to steal an SUV in Atlanta, and then Chicago, and drove it to Dallas. Got caught trying to do some credit card fraud to trick it out. And then he would run back to Atlanta and to Dallas. And every time he had court, I would give him short notice and he'd fly. I'd tell him, you got court tomorrow. He'd fly on short notice to Dallas and fly back to Chicago. Do y'all know how much them flights cost? When you last minute from Chicago to Dallas?
Expensive.
Yeah. Like $600 to $1,000. Like he probably was
$1,000. This back in like 2002, 2003, 2004. That's $1,000 flight.
Yeah.
He was doing that on a regular. And then it really tripped me out because he started coming to court. Y'all got to listen to this. He starts coming to court in a limousine.
Wow.
And downstairs at the Dallas courthouse, there's a little like a cul-de-sac with a little circle. There's a little circle you can kind of park and wait while you for somebody to come out, get in the car and leave. Man, the limo would come to Dallas. And he'd come to court the limo would park downstairs and sit for like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours until I reset them, and then they'd leave. And I start questioning. I was like, who can afford to fly down here like that, number one? Who can afford a limo to come to court? Limo back then is $300-400 an hour. I'm like, that's $1,000 just to come here and go home. Why you got a limo like that? And so I started questioning it a little bit. I was like, damn, that's crazy. One time he came to my office, and now I got this long story. I know I got to tell you. He comes to my office. There's a young lady sitting there. Her hair's not done. Her nails are busted up, and she got a regular outfit on. And her makeup's not done. He finished talking to me. He said, say, young lady, how you doing? I'm all right, sir. Hey, here's $600, $500-600. I want you to go buy your outfit, get your hair done, get your makeup done, and buy you some shoes, get them nails done, baby. Don't be out here like that. Take care of her. Did not ask her name, didn't try to get a phone number, walked up out there, gave us $600. So I was like, man, who does that? The limo. Remember I told you about the limo downstairs?
Yeah.
I'm not done yet. I'm gonna go back to the limo in a minute. So every time we go to court, it's like, yeah, man, I gotta go see my uncle out in Frisco, man. I gotta go see my uncle out in Frisco, man. I'm good. Gotta go see my uncle out in Frisco. So I'm like, hell, fuck. I wonder who his uncle is. So I was getting ready to get him a probation because they wanted him to go to jail. We're supposed to go to court. Man, I ain't heard from him in 2 weeks. I'm like, damn, where my boy at? Man, he call me. He would come to court. He'd give me $1,000 extra just for resetting his case, taking care of him. And I ain't seen my boy in about 2 weeks. I'm calling all the numbers. I'm calling all his people. Nobody know where he's at. The DA comes to me. You hear about your boy? And I'm like, what happened? You know, they got busted in Atlanta. I was like, what? He said, yeah, man. He's in a federal indictment out of Atlanta, man. Atlanta, Chicago. I'm like, damn. It was Meeks and them getting busted, right? Remember the uncle in Frisco?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all know where Meeks got caught when he got caught by the feds?
What?
He was living in the mansion in Frisco, Texas. He was living in the mansion in Frisco, Texas, in a gated community. Remember the limo?
Nice.
Remember the limo?
Yep. Was that the limo driver?
They was
that was driving on him?
Remember they was transporting drugs and money
Mm-hmm.
in a limo. So what he was doing, he was probably having my guy bring money in so that they could suffice themselves. And they were using a limo because think about it. Who pulls over limos? Nobody. Nobody pulls over a limo. And then they had these limos, so y'all know these limos had compartments in them. You had to cut the radio on 105.7. You had to put the air on 65. You had to hit the window knob twice and the defreeze button on the defroster button on your window all at the same time for some shit to open up.
Mm.
And that was the limo that was downstairs. That's what they were doing. Right. I had to figure it out. It all made sense. Number one, he paid me more than I was asking him for. He took care of me. His uncle in Frisco, I know who that was. I understood the limo then now. I understood everything.
So you got set up.
Yeah, you know, but hey, he took care of me, man. I made some good money off him. Listen, I wish they'd have told me more. I would give me the big man. I want to represent the big guy. I don't care. I'm from the hood. Like I'm real. I keep it 100.
We'll take it out where you got it from. So
we talking about this trial, and then Trump, he bombs over in Iran, and then they're talking about retaliation, and they already bombed a place in a base over there, and hey, what is it? Qatar.
Listen, I don't play. When it comes to I wish us the best. I don't play with them Arabs like that, man. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm gonna tell you why. You know why? You can't get no harder than them. Because you know what? I always tell people, I got one phrase that I always use. I have one story I use. We'll go, man, I'll kill you. And you know what the Arabs will say? I'll kill both of us.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't get no harder than that.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to die for theirs.
But if they retaliate on us on our soil, what are we going to do? We're not built for that.
We're not built for that, but I tell you what will happen.
They're going to bother us.
But I'll tell you why they're not going to bother us.
Not at all.
because if they come at us, they better get Trump. Because if they don't get him, he gonna knock a hole in the earth. That's just how he is. Because you know he ain't wrapped too tight. I'm just keeping it 100.
The United States ain't got to worry about nothing.
He ain't playing no game. Like if somebody do something, he gonna knock a hole over there.
Oh, yeah.
No, they said they have like some sleeper cells who they're gonna like activate.
They have if one American dies, Trump is gonna knock a hole. There will be no more Iraq.
Yeah, I wonder what made you say that. We're not built for that. You know,
we are built for it. It's just
I'm saying. Well, let me explain. I'm saying we're not like over there. They get bombed all the time. And they're like used to that stuff. Did you see when the bombs was going off and going down? People was just standing outside like it was like fireworks.
But
can you see bombs? Can you see bombs coming down on us and what we do?
What are we going to do? On us because our defenses are so cold. Listen to me. I know people in the military. I'm gonna tell you, we got some shit don't nobody got. And if one thing lands here, he gonna knock a hole in Iraq. Iraq will no longer exist.
And not only that, and not only will Iraq no longer exist, one thing that the United States has, you could best believe there will be a lot of other countries that will also join forces with the United States. Because the United States is a protection to a lot of countries as well.
But you know what I did today, y'all? I did some I'm a history major, so I'm a political science and history double major. So I did a little bit further research on Iran and its existence and how it came to be and why things are the way they are. What happened was they discovered oil there 1920s, 1930s, because at first they didn't know that they had that much oil in Iran. And what happened was the British, because of World War II, they were scared that Germany was going to go in and take over Iran. And so the Soviets and the British invaded Iran. The British took control of Iran and its oil reserves. The British gave the Iranian people 16% and they took 84% of the oil money.
Why the British being the British take everybody's land? Because just like
it's crazy for such a small ass place. It's being such a small little eke of land, a group of people.
Let me tell you what they did. So
they took Israel, and they had Israel and gave it back to them.
Yeah, because that's different. That's Holy Land. But when it comes to Iran, it was about money, and they didn't want Germany to get it, so they took it. And somehow that 86% it wasn't even 86% because they would not open the books up. And so once the war was over, a lot of people in Iran got tired of getting juiced out of their oil. They overthrew the president. He ended up getting exiled, and then those Islamist extremists came in, and they kicked everybody out. They took control of their money.
Wow.
And so, and that's why we have a bad history with Iran, because we really tried to take advantage. Not just Britain, but America did too as well. We took advantage of them. Think about it. We are black people. We already know. Come on, y'all. We ain't gonna have that conversation. But yeah, y'all already know. Listen, they told us it's gonna be free food on the boat. We ended up over here. They took our land. They took everything we had. But so we know. But what they did to Iran, that's the reason why that's why things are the way they are. What they did to Iran, they took all the oil. The colonial people took them over. They had buku oil companies that were taking advantage of them, and they wouldn't even open their books up to give them their 16%.
Wow.
And so all kind of stuff. And so I had to look into the history of kind of what happened to see why they are and the way that America and Iran, the jacked up relationship we have. And remember the hostages, all Soleimani and all that stuff.
The Iran Contra affair and all that stuff. Yeah, that was crazy too.
There's a lot of stuff that's involved in that, and that's why I say, look, I mean, the world history, and listen, we're American, we're here, but at the same time, we know our country's done some stuff to remain in power, and we know it is what it is.
But I'm gonna say this is that if we're, because people are banking on Trump like pardoning Diddy, but if we are caught in the war, he ain't gonna have time to be pardoning nobody.
No, he got time to pardon anybody. Look, Trump gonna make time to pardon folks.
Oh yeah, he is.
Of course,
he would make time.
Why? Because do you think that if they're able to prosecute Diddy, they could then turn around and prosecute Trump? Like somebody could come out and say, "Well, now Trump did this to me now too." Okay,
well, see, that's why. That's
but
why
he's covered right now, right? He's covered as a president.
He's covered as a president, but once again, he don't want to set precedent for people coming to do that to men that have money. I mean, listen, let's be honest.
He already doing it,
of course, and he's already pardoning people. And so that's why I'm having this conversation with everybody. Don't nobody want to talk about it. But if you're a man with money, I'm like, hey, Trump, man, hey, man, hold up, man. I may not like Puffy, but Puffy got money like me. What if they do me like that? Hey, Trump, you need to clean that up, Doc.
But he already said hands. That's why people are doing it now. Because he already their role.
But see, I don't feel like Puffy needs to go to jail for life. I don't feel like he needs to get 30 years.
He needs to go to jail. He needs to go to jail for a decade or more putting his hands on Cassie. I will tell you that for 10 years plus, he needs to go to jail for putting his hands on that woman.
And I don't think he's gonna get out.
But they're not taking him there for that. So we can't even really look at that.
I know, but see, that's the thing. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, listen, I got sisters. I got a mama.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you to this day, there's no situation upon which somebody's put their hands on one of my sisters that I knew about. Now I have a half sister, and I think something happened with her, but they wouldn't tell me because they're like, nah, we don't want you to lose all your stuff. Because if somebody put their hand on one of my sisters, listen, you have offended me in a way that I'm not just gonna let it pass.
That's true.
And I'm
you know what? I'm against abuse. Don't get me wrong, and that was wrong of what he has done. But just like you said, she never went to the police. She never reported it. They brought that out.
But
they brought it out, and then she went and sued the hotel for letting that tape come out and got 10 million.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Find out the hotel wasn't even at fault because what happened is that it was somebody else that took the picture of the video. It was somebody that wasn't even a hotel worker that got the picture of the.
I'm gonna tell y'all this. I've been involved in criminal cases where the woman truly is scared of the guy because he beating her up, being a gorilla, as they say, gorilla pimping, doing what he doing. He beating her up. He doing all this other kind of stuff. And I can't say a woman gonna always report that because to be honest with you, can you really keep somebody away from you in this world by putting a protective order on them?
No.
Hell no. Freddie P said that P. Diddy told him when he was pissing him off, he said, listen, I will go to your neighborhood, I will have all the lights shut off. And then I'll get someone to drive by your house and shoot up your whole neighborhood. And then you'll die and nobody will know what happened. Some old crazy thing. And he said he pictured P. Diddy he could probably do that. So he had to back up.
I feel like the price of it for some people always gonna be offset. But I can tell you this: I'm an only girl, and I'm raised by all men, a dad and brothers. And honestly, I stand at 6'2", and I wear heels. And as big as they want to call me, as strong, you can do this. I'm gonna tell you this: if my dad or any of my brothers hear anything like this about me, or a man putting their hands on me, and I'm telling you, married 31 years, happily separated now after 31 years, and my dad and brothers were not tolerated on no goddamn level, none. So for anybody to feel that he shouldn't be held accountable for his actions, it's a different story until it happened to you.
And I'm gonna tell y'all this.
No,
I think he should be held accountable, but I think it's not in this RICO.
I get that part.
Charged. what
he
he's
should get
getting
charged in
charged
state
with
court.
is not RICO.
Yeah, I think he should go to
Abuse
court
is
and
not
take
in there.
Yeah, I think he should go to state court for the abuse, and he should get state time. He need to get some time for what he did to Cassie. And
Yeah, because if you're talking about legally, the RICO don't fit abuse. So I mean, it goes with a state charge. Now I feel that he should have got charged with a state charge.
True.
Tell me this real quick, Calvin. Can the state pick up the abuse and the prostitution and all the other state charges
I'm gonna tell you they could, but
out on the federal, could the state then?
I would argue double jeopardy on the prostitution and some of that, some of the other stuff. But the assault, the beating Cassie up, they could pick that up. They could charge them statewide, and I think that they should do that. And the reason why I think that they should do that is because if Cassie was my daughter, my sister, my cousin, any woman in my family, my niece, I'm whooping Puffy's ass. I'm just gonna tell y'all, and I'm not gonna sleep until that happens.
You notice he didn't do that to the black women. He chose these Asian women
because he knows. And he didn't pick somebody with a daddy. And let me tell y'all, we had this conversation. I don't want nobody to get mad at me. I try to tell people, right? Listen. When you got a woman and you got a man, you got a son or a daughter, there are certain things that a woman could naturally give her son. And there are certain things that a man can naturally give his son. When it comes to daughters, there's things that a woman can give her daughter. But there are things that the dad has to give his daughter.
You better know it. That's why I'm thankful, Lord. I say thank every time I can think of it. I always say thank you, Lord, for my dad and my brothers raising me. People wouldn't understand it, but I am very thankful and grateful, especially in the stage that I'm in right now. I mean, I wouldn't change a mom, but unfortunately, I wasn't raised with my mom. But I know that there's just different roles, and the things that my dad taught me, he showed me a different blueprint.
Exactly. And I try to tell people that
there's a different blueprint. It's a totally different blueprint.
Listen, I'll tell y'all this. Remember when Sha'Carri Richardson got in trouble and had her issues?
Yeah.
My question was, where the daddy at? And I had people get mad at me. You know, I had people get mad at me, man. They want to, man, everybody ran down on me. And I'm saying to myself, if she'd have had her daddy, certain things wouldn't have happened because there's certain things that he's not going to allow. He's not going to allow the wrong coach around her. He's not going to allow BS around her. He's going to be watching everybody like a hawk. And he's going to make sure that she doesn't have to go through certain things. And people thought I was like trying to tell a woman what to do. Now I'm here for protection. I'm old school. I was raised by my grandfather. Y'all say what you want to say. I was raised by old school black man, and we do stuff the old school way.
And my daddy was in the military. He was in the Navy.
Mine too. My
daddy traveled all around the world. I mean, I got gifts from everywhere around the world. It was a totally different upbringing with me. And I do tell people this too. I think even though I'm happily divorced now, I believe it also played a role in me staying in a marriage as well.
I want to say this really quick too, because getting to this case, the juror, the black juror that got erased. Yeah. I don't know why the defense didn't really fight hard tooth and nail to keep that juror there. But I guess
they couldn't. They couldn't because he lied.
But I'm gonna tell you this: they're gonna argue that he should have stayed. That's one thing that they're gonna try to appeal on. But it's certain things that you do, and one of the reasons why you don't take a plea deal because you want to see if the state's gonna make a mistake. Because if they make a mistake, you walk. Think about it. How you think Freeway Ricky got out? He found some mistakes that the state made, and was able to get home. And so, and if certain mistakes that they make, they can't retry you no more.
And so before we leave, Calvin, it's a question I want to ask you because I know we were getting ready to head on out, but I'm being very, very nosy because that's how we are when we raised by men. Yeah. Listen, I ain't being funny. Are those boxes of shoes in your background?
Listen, I don't play no games about my shoes. I'm gonna tell you something right now. Listen, I want to explain something to y'all. Before my grandfather, and this goes back to my grandfather, before my grandfather got drafted to go.
I'm trying to get a view of the shoes. The shoes. Everybody say about his shoes.
I don't want to show him mine. Over 250 pairs.
Bingo. I'm right with you. I'm right there with you, sis. All right, we about tired. We about tired. I'm gonna say that right. And I got shoes from all over the world. From tennis shoes to dress shoes, I got shoes from Italy, Portugal, Africa.
And I'm heels. I'm a heels girl. I own one pair of tennis shoes because I jog. One pair of tennis shoes. Everything else is heels. I cannot walk in those flats.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. Listen, my grandfather was studying to be a shoemaker before he went to the military, so he's big on shoes. So my family, we big on shoes and we dress like we fly as a feather. We fly as a feather. Don't play around.
Me, I do not like repeating clothes. I got enough where I don't have to repeat them. I'm just that type of connoisseur. And my dad and my brothers are like that. And I'm not.
Hey, grab one of the most expensive pairs of shoes you got back. I want to see what you got back.
I have to do it in a minute. So I have to do it in the next time I come on because I got quite a few things here. I know you got. Wait, but do you know go over that the next time because I want to get the right ones? Because see.
Yes.
The most expensive pair not even over there. I got them in another spot.
My goodness.
Because this was
not like in like a glass case of like.
Yeah. This is. I got shoes from. I have some that are custom. I have an uncle, who does show clothes in Vegas.
Oh my goodness!
He did a couple of jackets for me. He did a Don Cornelius recreation for me, and then he did. The jacket that the OJs wore in the video Backstabbers, I have one.
I think I got something similar to that.
Yeah, man, I got one. I got the back.
So you be up in that courtroom fly at the courtroom house.
Go to the Soul Train performance with the OJs and Backstabbers. I got the jacket.
Listen,
We
got
court showing out. Calvin, it's not coming back in style. Let it go.
Hey, now listen. I do it. I don't want to look like nobody else. So I got the wide lapels. I got the different shoes.
Oh my.
Man, I do my thing. Like I got jackets. I have retro jackets that look like Lamont used to wear on Sanford and Son when he dressed up.
You better know it.
All of my ties are vintage. I don't buy regular ties. I buy vintage ties. And they're fat, like them fat ties.
I would love it.
My ties are like 3-4 inches wide. I don't play around.
And listen, I'll take one of your ties, Calvin, and I'll wrap that tie around my head, and you won't even know it's a tie. Hey, go over to my channel, and you will see how fashion forwarded I am. And I don't play the radio about it, baby.
I love
it. That's funny.
Let me tell you something. You don't listen. You do not want no raggedy looking lawyer.
And it's funny. Somebody said, "Bro, you built what you bench." I'm gonna tell you something. I hired me a trainer. One of my best friends. True story. I got to have this conversation with y'all. Yes, sir. One of my best friends 6 years ago had a stroke. Scared the hell out of me. His whole left side today is not moving. I was a college basketball player I was a point guard. My big man who's 6'10". He can walk now, but his whole left side does not move anymore. His left arm is just there. And it scared the hell out of me to the point I pay a trainer every week to work me out. I see him in the morning. I see him every Tuesday and Thursday. Wow. And my trainer is 55 years old. He looked like he's 30.
Wow. And you know what? We relate on that part too. I'm 6'2". I'm the shortest one in the family. And my dad and brothers, we are basketball connoisseurs as well. That's why I was so protected and grounded. So I was a forward and a center.
Hey, listen, I used to work with Chris Bosh.
Rub their butts up in a minute on that court.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen, basketball is real. I used to work for Chris Bosh. I was his attorney at the draft. And I worked for him for 7 years. So my life, I'm going to be honest with you, my life without basketball would not be what it is because it taught me discipline. I played, it kept me out of trouble. I grew up, I'm been blessed because Dallas basketball, I tell you, I'm almost like royalty down there for 2 reasons. I grew up being friends with Larry Johnson that played for UNLV and that played for the Knicks. I'm friends with him, personal friends with him. He went to the Texas Black Sports Hall of Fame. He went in Texas Black Sports Hall of Fame about 4 weeks ago. I sat with him as he went in. And then I went to the draft, the NBA draft with Chris Bosh. So I have connections to the Dallas 2 greatest basketball players of all time. And both of them are Hall of Famers, and I'm blessed.
Wow.
I'm blessed. Without basketball, I wouldn't have made it.
I got a question.
That's wonderful.
I see someone, and I was about to get on the basketball thing, but this just, I have to say this. I don't know if that's you, they won't let me out.com. Can I ask you, Calvin, are you familiar with the case that's going on over in New Orleans with Anton Massey? Because on my channel, I run that story, because here's the thing for me. At this point, I don't care whether he's guilty or innocent. I just want to see this young Black man make it back in so he could stand his day. How do you feel about that story? Because I feel like it's so much to this story, but I want him to get in so it can be unraveled the right way. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and let me tell you, and it's funny, I have a connection to Louisiana in a way.
Can we help him?
It's hard, and let me tell you why. Because you can't, because of his situation. If he when they catch him, of course you can contribute to some kind of legal fund or fee. But Louisiana, so everybody understands, I'm part of a documentary called "He Never Came Home." Okay. Go to Amazon Prime and watch it. In the 1960s, they convinced a mentally challenged Black man to confess to a murder he didn't commit, locked him up for 43 years, and he never came home on Amazon Prime. So go watch that movie. That's our homework assignment, because I want y'all to check it out. But Louisiana, man, is known for convicting people, and they will put you, their prison facilities don't have air conditioning. They have you out there working.
What do we do to help? How do we help? What do we do?
Well, the first thing, they're going to have to catch him first. And once they catch him, he's going to go to court. And so you can contribute to his legal fund. I'm pretty sure he's going to have one. And then what I think people should do, they're probably going to, he's probably going to go to trial because he has nothing to lose at this point. But the attorney is probably going to establish the legal fund. And we really need to talk about some of the injustices that happen in Louisiana. Now, I don't know. I wonder what's going on in his underlying cases, and we're gonna have to talk about this on another time, because I definitely want to talk.
Calvin? Can we? Because I'm really interested in that. Over on my channel. Matter of fact, I got my days right here on Wednesdays, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. I discussed this Anton Massey case, because right now I just want to see one of our first Black men make it in, whether he's guilty or innocent. So I'm just wondering, why can't we do anything to step in to bring him in and let him stand trial from there?
Well, the problem is you don't want to be helping him, because
not like that. Like bring him in, in.
But we got to be
in and knowing that he's not forgotten, because I think that's the reason why he did it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Yeah. And see, that's the thing too. They lock him up, man. You don't hear from him. You're nothing. And I think this is giving him a platform to air some of the grievances out. And I want to see him make it in alive, so we can, because I want to hear more about what he is talking about.
Exactly.
He got to make it. He got to make it alive. That's the main thing. Because when they arrest him, you better believe they're gonna have all the guns and everything. They're gonna be surrounding him with all kind of pistols and stuff. And not. It's not gonna be an easy bringing him in really nicely unless he turns himself in nicely. Because if he is running when they catch him, they are going to probably try to put a lot of force on him. So that's the dangerous thing.
And what they should do with some Black leaders, and I really don't trust a lot of them are in Louisiana.
Me either. They not know what's helping. They won't help. Why do you think they're scared to help? Why do you think they're scared to help him? Because it look like it's a criminal organization within the state.
Hey, Louisiana's the problem. When you watch this movie, because I don't want to even tell you the stuff that happened in there. I thought Texas was bad. I'm just like, whoa. So I'm gonna let y'all know. Go watch that movie with Louisiana, man. Hey, let me tell you something. It's a whole nother ball game.
I know
they're bad, and very seldomly when I say something bad, some places are better than Texas. We have more people in death row in Dallas County than any other place in the entire country. Dallas and Harris County were 1 and 2 for Black men on death row, and there were a lot of wrongful convictions that happened. And my friend Craig Watkins, who I was friends with, who helped do the Innocent Projects, who did a lot to overturn a lot of those wrongful convictions.
Right.
He was #1 in the country doing that. God bless his soul. He's went home to glory. He was one of my friends. When I ran for city council, my campaign was ran out of Craig's office. He is a great individual. He did a lot for a lot of people, but y'all, I gotta go because I gotta get ready to go to court tomorrow, and I gotta make my training session in the morning.
Listen, I want to also say
we're gonna stay in touch. Genesis has my information. You got
Okay.
my phone number. I'm gonna give you my cell phone number if you want it. Write
Yeah,
it
I do.
down. 469
Wait a minute.
583
Uh-huh.
3663.
Okay.
You
It's
know
up
it's
here. It's
lying,
up here.
Calvin.
No,
Okay.
yeah. He gives his number because, you know, hey, if you get locked up, these are the numbers to call. If
Hey,
you're
I'm
ever
like
in
Mike
Dallas
Jones. I
County,
give my phone number out.
And I'm going there anyway because I want to go to Papa Dough. I haven't been there in about a year or two, so I'm overdue for Papa Dough.
Hey man, we got Papa Do's here in Texas, man. Matter
I
of fact,
said I'm coming to Texas.
I went today to Papa. We have Papa Do's, Papa's Barbecue. They got Papa's Burger. They got Papa's everything here. They do. Oh, the burger, the Papa's Burger's hidden. The Papa's Burger's hidden.
I'll try it.
The barbecue's hidden. Like
And
I went
so-
to Papa's Barbecue today, but I had a salad.
But so
you get
listen,
healthy on me.
real quick though, it's gotta be hard. I mean, you know, you can hear from different attorneys, but Calvin has the experience federally, criminally, all around the board, even with education, different things, you know, and he has connections, you know. So, you know, if you need an attorney, he answers his phone in the middle of the night, you know, he'll make sure he's there. So you want an attorney that's going to be dedicated like that,
Yes.
and that's going to be there for you, and actually cares about your well-being. He's not just a criminal lawyer just want to try to get some money. He actually becomes friends with you. The reason why I met Calvin, I had a DWI. That's how I met him, and we have been friends ever since. How long we been friends?
Take care of me. It's been a long time. It's years, at least a decade or more.
Right, we've been just off of that DWI.
And you know the cool part about it is, huh?
And my daughter, maybe about 3 weeks ago, she literally just got her bail bondsman's license.
And see, that's the thing. And it's funny because my assistant's husband runs a bail bonds company. I'm a lawyer. We got it rolling over here.
And wait a minute,
and
she got a real estate license August the 7th of last year.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Having our own businesses is important. And like I said, you know, I appreciate everybody coming on. I really care about my clients. I always tell people I come from a place here in Dallas, Texas called Dixon Circle. And to help y'all understand what Dixon Circle is, it's probably one of the 2 or 3 roughest neighborhoods in the city. In the state. And it's hard. It's no joke down here.
Yes.
Back in the day, the dope came in our neighborhood and people came from all over Dallas to score to bring it out to other neighborhoods. The first Crip set in the city was in my neighborhood.
Oh, good. Did they protect you? Did they protect the neighborhood though?
Yeah, they didn't bother the basketball players because remember, I was there seriously. I was there at the same time Larry Johnson was there. And basketball players were untouchable. You didn't bother us.
Yeah.
They wanted to see us make it out. Now, I'll tell the guys in my community had love for the hoopers.
That's right.
Because we had to represent the city. We had a target on our back because Larry came from where we came from. Yes. All them hoopers come from over there. And they like, yeah, so he gave us a sense of pride. That's like right. That man I owe a lot of gratitude to because he motivated me because I saw him get out.
Right.
And I was like, man, he can make it out. I can make it out. So that motivated me. So I love him for that. And he'll let you know, like we had some real time. I'm talking about, listen, New Jack City, that was us over there. Like that. We had New Jack City in Dallas. Like that was my community. But listen, I got to go because I got to be able to get up in the morning. Love y'all. We're going to do this again, all right?
Me too, Calvin. I got to go to work.
So listen, so Sunday at 2 p.m.
Sunday at 2 p.m. And hopefully I can see y'all in New York at some point next week.
Oh,
yeah, I won't see you in New York, Calvin, but
no, you're gonna see us online because we're gonna do this live from New York next week. So y'all,
yeah, that's what we're gonna try to do, y'all. Do it live and man, just talk about this in life. All right, y'all.
Much love, thank you, Calvin.
Appreciate y'all. Take care.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you, Queen. Any final words you guys want to say or anything that y'all want to
I want to tell you, thank you for having me.
Diddy is gonna be free.
There you go. Yeah, we here.
free Diddy. Free Diddy. But you know what? But he better run. You know, when he is free, he better get the hell up out of America. Because I don't know.
But mentally, he's gonna be messed up because nobody is gonna mess with him like that anymore. So it's gonna affect him. Yeah. He'll be messed up.
And if he do get free, hopefully he won't do it again. He'll learn his lesson from this merry-go-round.
He's a narcissist. He might like try to off himself. Like, I mean, for real. Because
you know, like Calvin was saying earlier, it seems to be so surreal that there are so many of our Black men that are actually going under. But it also begs the part to make me wonder, are you all going under because you've been narcissists for so long and now things are just unraveling about you? Because sometimes I can say with us people of color, when we get $1 in our pocket or we get a position, it's like we become the I have it all. I can tell you what to do. I can treat you any kind of way.
Yes. Yes.
Can I say an opinion before we leave
Yes.
that might like ruffle some feathers? But I'm just gonna be honest. I believe that all this stuff is really based on drug use. I believe even his narcissism is a drug-induced narcissism. From what I understand is that he was high the entire time, and sometimes he would get very wild and crazy. And a lot of the times that you see him, even the time when he was beating up Cassie, he was high as hell. They were all on drugs. They were doing drug binge freak off.
Yeah.
You know, and now we have a new thing called a freak off. Now that's a part of our language. So even with this case, he's still influencing people by even having a thing called a freak off. You know what I'm saying? So let me just tell y'all this is that, you know, this has been a great show. We're gonna do some more of this. I'm gonna have to like I'm about to hit Queen up. We're gonna like try to plan some more of these conversations.
Yeah,
this was awesome. You know, shouts out because people are still watching from Watching the World 777. Thank you guys for sticking with us. I know that Mel is doing another show. I'm gonna go over there and give him some support as well. Thank you guys so much. And anybody on my channel, go to right when you leave here.
Yes, drop him in the chat. Drop him in the back chat so I can see, so we can go and support him.
Yeah, go to YouTube, Watching the World 777. Go to Watching the World
777. Okay, I'll make sure.
Yeah, we're gonna like go over there and support him after we leave out here. Thank you guys. Thank everybody for being here.
Okay,
much love. See you soon.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace out.